Henri Cartier-Bresson, French photographer. About Henri Cartier-Bresson. Henri was a French humanist photographer, also known as a candid photographer. His genre of photography was street photography. Even though he had no particular subject matter, he just captured moments when life offered itself. The biggest thing that Mr. Bresson offered to photography besides the decisive moment is that he helped establish photojournalism as an art form. Photojournalism is the art of practice of communicating news by photographs. Some more about Henri Cartier-Bresson. Mr. Cartier-Bresson is the creator of the decisive moment, and according to an article titled "The Psychology of the Decisive Moment," the decisive moment occurs when the visual and psychological elements of people in a real-life scene spontaneously and shortly come together into a perfect way to express the essence of the situation being photographed. One unique thing about his photography, unlike anyone else, is that he never cropped his images, as well as he only shot in black and white. Some more about Henri Cartier-Bresson was a French photographer who was born in 1908 and passed very recently on August 3, 2004, making him only 95 when he passed. He married 2 times in his life. His first wife he had was Ratna Mohini, who he married in 1937 and later divorced in 1967. His second wife was Martine Frank, who he married in 1970. He had 1 child. Her name was Melanie Cartier-Bresson. He went to the University of Cambridge in England and studied literature and painting. It was at this university where he was introduced to film and photography. Mr. Bresson's first serious encounter with photography happened in 1930 after seeing the work of photographers Eugene Atget and Man Ray. In 1931, Mr. Cartier-Bresson traveled to Africa, where he lived in a bush while recording his experience with a small camera. It wasn't until 1933 where he purchased his first 35mm Leica camera. Some more about Mr. Cartier-Bresson's personal life. He was born August 22, 1908 in Chanteloup, France. He was the oldest of 5 children, and he liked to wander around the world with his camera while becoming completely immersed in the environment he was in. And it didn't really matter where he was, as long as he became immersed in the particular setting he was in. Mr. Bresson covered many of the world's biggest events such as the Spanish Civil War and the French Uprising in 1968. Growing up, his family was rich. However, the way that he talked about them made them seem like they were poor. When he was a child and being educated, he lived in Paris, and growing up, he was a little bit rebellious. His art side came from his great-grandfather, who was an artist. He also had an uncle that was a noted printer. His dad even dabbled in drawing a little bit. Here are some of Henri Cartier-Bresson's notable pieces. On the top left, we have his photo titled Boston Commons he took in 1947, which is a black and white photograph of 6 men relaxing on Boston Commons in the United States. On the bottom left, we have his photo titled Berlin Wall, which is a black and white photograph of a street scene with children of different ages playing with one another in the foreground, and in the background is the Berlin Wall. In the middle, we have arguably his most famous piece, which is titled Behind the Gare St. Lazare he took in 1932. This photo was taken with his Leica camera through a fence behind Paris's St. Lazare train station, where a man was leaping across the water and caused ripples in the water. On the far right, we have his piece titled School Children Looking from the Top of Notre Dame Cathedral at Seine River, Paris, he took in 1953. This photo is depicting school children and a couple looking from the top of the Notre Dame Cathedral at the Seine River in the city of Paris. Here are some more of Henri Cartier-Bresson's notable pieces. In the top left, we have his Island of Sifnos, Cyclades, Greece, and he took in 1961. This is a photograph depicting brilliantly white buildings in Sifnos, Greece, with a young girl running across the alleyways. The bottom left is a photo titled Madrid, and he took in 1933, which is a photo of a high wall in the background with strange small windows and small children in the foreground. In the middle, we have his photo titled Man in the Window he took in 1960, which is just a photo of a man in a window. And then on the far right, we have his portrait of Matisse he took in 1944, which is a photo of French painter Henri Matisse at his home in Venice. This is a quote by Henri Cartier-Bresson. It says, "Photographers deal in things which are continuously vanishing, and when they have vanished there is no contrivance on earth which can make them come back again."